Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us. You have just tuned in to the March 13th edition of the Gimbalabs Open Spaces community meeting. This meeting is open to everyone. We're glad that you joined us. I'm going to give you a little rundown of what we do here, typically every Thursday around this time, which is 14 something UTC, possibly. And we are a community of learners, and typically we're building and doing little our projects. But on Thursdays, we sort of put on our administrator hats and we do, I wouldn't, it's governance, but it's we work through our projects and we kind of get into the executive function. We do a consent decision-making process based loosely on the S3 Sociocracy 3.0 model. And there is a Notion board that I'm going to share right now. Or Harsh should. I'm facilitating. My name is Newman. I'm co-facilitating with Harsha. Say hello, Harsha.
Hey, hey.
Right. Hey, Harsha, I'm going to share my screen, and I wonder if, uh, let's see, we'll go through our agenda for today. And the agenda is based on these projects and this Notion board. Can everybody see the Notion board?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Um, this is sort of how we manage things here in Gimbal Labs, and there are proposals. Anybody is welcome to create a proposal. The projects look like this when they come off of the boilerplate, hot out of the press. Um, it's a title and all this sort of stuff. You can just write in your idea in this format, and it goes into a pipeline. Starts with these proposals, um, and then it goes to sort of planning, a backlog of ones that are sort of on the back burner. And then today we go to this community review and consent. That's what we're here for. And so this is our agenda for today to go through some of these proposals. And one of the cool things you can do uh, in Notion is you can move things around. And so this is our idea for today, is to talk about this first one, the which spaces, January through June 2025. This one is important. Harsha, you want to explain why this one is important for today?
absolutely. For F13 sustain and maintain Gimbalabs proposal, we submitted the first milestone and we submitted the with spaces proposal as one of the things that was consented on. But the reviewers were very specific about where the consent was, and I have to answer to them. So I was thinking we could get to the consent one way or the other, and then we can submit it to the reviewers so that we can get through milestone one and get the payment and distribute it to whoever needs it. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And it's basically, and I can pull that up, but it basically the milestone reviewers were saying, hey, there's a few specific things. And I remember one of those was who will commit to host and facilitate these spaces in our next in the next few months. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so that's the one that we're going to start first. So I'm giving you sort of the agenda, and then we're going to talk about, then we can decide whether we want to go through this marketing plan, which kind of was a spin off of this which spaces because we thought that the marketing itself should have its own proposal. And then something that I've really focused on this week is this the DRep vote. As you know, Gimbalabs is also a DRep. So uh, our community is a community of learners, but we're also a constituency and vote as a DRep in the Cardano governance. I do want to call out and ask Scott. Um, he took the initiative um, and is focused on. If you don't know Scott Ratio, um, he is his own DRep, and he's focused in on community governance. And he went through this proposal format and drafted some great things. The things that I want to highlight are the pros and cons. And this is where we could have a good discussion around this um, proposal. All right. So that is by way of agenda. Does
There are two
anyone?
hands up,
Yeah.
Newman,
Oh, yeah,
Adrian
yeah.
and Sebastian. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Adrian, yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have the vote proposal first because Scott has to drop off in 20 minutes?
So
And
we,
wouldn't make much sense to discuss a proposal where the owner is not present.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. We had, well, actually, it does make sense if we want to discuss that for the next 20 minutes because then we'll have a hard stop at 11 when Scott takes off. How do you feel about that?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, actually, that does sound good. Um, and let's begin that discussion now. All right. So can everyone, one, can they see my screen, or is who has not seen this proposal or does not know anything about it? The first part of the consent decision making process, uh, and it sort of looks like this. Oh boy. Um, is basically reading and understanding this, what the vote is all about. Um, is anybody unclear? I mean, who has some questions about what this governance action is about?
I don't know what the Treasury tax is. So, Scott, if you could just give us like a basic summary about what Treasury tax is and how it affects like the everyday Cardano user, that'd be really awesome.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah, my understanding on the tax, I believe is tau, is actually tau in the parameters for Cardano, and it's supposedly a tax that goes to the Treasury from all transaction fees, and also, I believe, from the reserve, the Cardano reserve that's released at I guess it's 3/10 of whatever the remaining reserve is released every epoch, and so it's 20% goes into the Treasury. Essentially, 80% of rewards goes out to the SPOs, and then that's distributed to the stakers, through those that stake to the SPOs as rewards. Now, Cardano Foundation wrote a white paper on it, and they claim that it's closer to 32.5 to 35%. But then also in the same breath, Cardano actually found the proposal unconstitutional. So that's it. I mean, if you have any other questions on it, I'm not an expert on tau. I did my own research on it and try to come up with my own formulas and models to help determine how it would impact Cardano, but that's much harder than I anticipated.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask about that study that you're referring to. What do you mean with it's closer to that? Do you mean the tax itself is closer to 30%?
Yes. That's
Okay.
what
Crazy.
Cardano Foundation is stating in their white paper. I mean, I can dig it up and put a link to it in the chat.
Yeah, if you have it, that would be amazing.
Sure. Give me a second. I'll get it to you.
Excellent. And so that's an important question to ask about like what is this tax and where does it come from? When you read the the governance action material here, it can give you some some clue as to where it is, but it does require some thought. And I know that Scott as a DRep has his own opinion, and everybody has their opinion. And I think that Scott was thinking of voting yes, but in the Discord we heard from Adrian, who had a strong opinion as well, and so I wanted to see if Adrian could come up and sort of help us to understand the proposal from that perspective.
So the treasury funds are going into developers, or they are for building the Cardano protocol and also to Catalyst. And I think as Gimbalabs, we definitely cannot vote yes to cut the rate, because all our funds are coming from that treasury, more or less. And it wouldn't make sense to cut ourselves our own funds off.
Right. I mean, I kind of feel like I think that that's sort of, I mean, does that, let's see, because this is where Catalyst is funded with this 20% of the DAO.
Exactly.
Okay.
Simon has his hand up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Simon, what do
So
you got?
what I understand is that that some of the funds would go rather to the SBOs, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
So
You mean not the treasury funds are going to the SBOs, the cut, so the 10% that
right.
would go to the treasury would then go to the SBOs, and also sure to ourselves if we are staking to the SBOs.
Right. But Gimbalabs has its own stake pool as well, no?
right. Right.
I mean,
Yes, it
I
is.
still
We do.
agree that with the point, I think Gimbalabs makes more through grants, but I mean, what do I know? But that's my strong suspicion.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the projects page, then our only income is from Catalyst, and all the proposals or projects are funded because of Catalyst.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And I think that that's an important point, is that Gimbalabs is funded indeed from this, tax, or the way I've always explained it is it's the physics of the blockchain, that whenever we make a transaction, a portion of that, whenever there's any activity, a portion of that goes into this treasury, and a portion of that treasury goes to Catalyst, and a portion of that Catalyst funds goes to Gimbalabs, and is paying me and Harsha right now, which is great, Um, some of the pros and cons. So if you have access, and let me share this link. If you have access, you can put a comment into this um, message, into this Notion page. So we'll put that out there. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So I think, Simon, is your hand still up? Do you have more comments, or? Okay. So I want to do this as an S3 thing. We only have about 5 more minutes. So I want to just get a temperature check and a quick clarifying round. Do you feel like, so here's the question as we do a round. Do you feel like you need more information, or do you have like an opinion? I don't want you to say your opinion, because we don't have enough time to sort of at this moment to discuss opinions. But I just want to get your sense of like, oh yeah, this is important, I want to talk more about it, or not. So we'll have a quick round. I oh I feel Now the question is kind of hard for me. I feel I feel like I have enough information to make an informed consent. Like I don't need to ask any more clarifying questions. Um, James, how about you? Do you feel, do you have like any kind of reaction, or do you feel like you have enough information?
I have enough information.
Okay, cool. Adrian, I'm Adrian and then Andrew. Yeah.
Yes, I have enough information.
Yeah. Okay, perfect, perfect. Andrew and then Emmanuel. Andrew, do you feel like you've got, like you have a strong opinion, or do you feel like you have enough information, or if there's something that you want to bring up? Andrew. Okay, we're gonna move on to Emmanuel and then Harsha. Okay, Emmanuel came off mute, but I can't hear you. You could put it in the chat also, and that might help us if you.
Can you guys hear me right now?
Oh yeah, we got you, buddy.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So what I was saying is, whatever that would be helpful to Gimbalabs indirectly, it should be considered. And I think Scott mentioned on the rationale. Sorry, I don't know on what he thinks is going to be helpful to Gimbalabs in um, this when there's a decision on the decrease of Treasury Tax, which is indirectly helping Gimbalabs in in the funding process. So yes, I think we should move on with that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Harsha and then Martin.
I feel like I have enough information. Not that I can make a decision, but I think I have enough information. And also, I understand that Gimbal Labs currently depends on Catalyst, but I personally I don't want the status quo to continue. I really hope like we can be self-sustainable and not depend on external organizations. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Martin and then Monique.
I'm listening with a half ear, so
Okay. All
keep
right.
listening.
Nice. Monique and then Nelson.
So I honestly am catching up to speed a little bit. I think I understand what's happening here and our particular position being funded by Catalyst, but I think that so the overall like purpose or goal of this proposal, it's to increase. Hold on, is this it's justified by increased staking returns and promoting decentralization. I think that's supposed to be the benefit, correct? Am I
Right.
getting that
Right.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I understand and I have enough information.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Nelson and then Scott.
Yeah, I also have enough information to understand proposal. Yeah, and I have an opinion about it.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool. Let's go to Scott. Scott, I definitely, just to hear your voice though, buddy.
Yeah, I've got enough information. I do want to let everybody know that I'm not trying to sway a decision either way for Gimbal Labs. And I don't know if my approach to this proposal was correct because I've never written a proposal for Gimbal Labs. So anyway, that's that. But yeah, I have enough information. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and I do want to highlight that as I see James with the hand clapping. This we're not, a consent process like this is making like a civil container. I do want to recognize that Scott took the initiative to sort of take on this with some it was difficult. He expressed how difficult it was because there's sort of conflict of interest, and he's very fastidious or very like he takes it very seriously, this sort of conflict of interest and trying to be a representative. And he does this more just to get the ball rolling And likewise, I want to acknowledge Adrian, who was able to give like a good counterpoint. Like we have this phrase about getting to the no, and that a no or an objection is really a gift because that gives us the space to sort of work these things out. So we're not trying to say this is right or this is wrong. We're just trying to go through a process to sort of ascertain the thing. Okay, okay. Sebastian and then Simon.
Yeah, I have enough information.
Perfect,
Thanks.
perfect. So, you got it, Sebastian. Simon.
He said
Yeah,
check the chat.
got enough
Oh,
information. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. He's already done. Okay, so I know that Scott has to like be closing the door at 11 of his house. So Scott, I guess we can ask. One of unfortunate things about this is that the window to vote is coming up quickly. We I do want to I do want to even though you may not be able to stay, I do want to get Adrian and Nelson. And Adrian, you've kind of given your sort of your objection, meaning, and I think it was clearly stated that that look, Gimbalabs depends on Catalyst funds from that tax. It is from there. So, is that sum up the argument?
That's one
Or
of my
the
objections.
uh
I would have some more, but I don't think we have time for that.
yeah, I know it's so bad to so Scott, before you have to leave, and I just want to, do you want to let's get your voice in here before you have to go.
On which side?
So let's yeah, what do you think about that? And I know that this, because you have a strong opinion for yourself, but as Gimbalabs, I think it's reasonable that tax comes from. Do you have anything that sort of helps us understand better that, or are we seeing that clearly? That we're really funded by this tax, and that that a vote on no to keep the tax as it is probably best for Gimbalabs.
Yeah, on that, I don't know if it's best. I don't know Gimbalabs, their budget, where their funds come from, or the economy of the stake pool that is operated. So, but
Okay.
if indeed the Treasury is paying for the proposals that are funded, that I can see the impact on that if they were to decrease that. But Gimbalabs also isn't the only entity or organization that is also receiving funding from the Treasury.
Sure.
So and I'm playing devil's advocate. So by voting no because Gimbalabs funding gets there, is from there, you're also pretty much giving a pass to every other project that's getting funding, whether or not they're efficient, useful, or of the same.
Right.
So, and
Yep.
as far as Gimbalabs goes, like I said, I will abstain anyway since I'm a DRep and I've already placed my vote, and just trying to play devil's advocate with the justification I just mentioned.
Yep. All right.
And Sebastian had his hand up. I missed it twice. Sorry about that, Sebastian.
No, I prefer to state something about this thing of Gimbalabs has Catalyst is the only option to fund Gimbalabs when I present my proposal, because I have a proposal to present today if we have the time. But
Perfect.
in general terms, I think it's a fact today. But in that sense, we have to move the organization or this exercise to another scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That yeah, and then Simon, I see that your hands up.
Yeah, I think there's
Oh, you muted.
Sorry. Yeah. I just sat down on the computer and unmuted myself on the computer, so I heard myself twice. Yeah. So I just wanted to make one more point about it, which is I think it's an unfortunate timing to have it right now because everything with the budget is coming up. I think it would have been better to have raised the question after the budget has gone through, or yeah, maybe before all the budget craziness. Yeah, I think I couldn't vote any other way other than no in this case. But I can see, like, maybe in the future, if it happens, if it comes up again, I could see myself vote yes, actually.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. And I'm going to say goodbye to Scott. And thank you so much for bringing this up and really taking the lead with the DRep role here.
Thanks, Scott.
It's really, really been incredible. Okay. So Andrew, Andrew, we haven't heard from you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it was going to be my turn and the internet dropped out. I was really frustrated. So if we're still talking about this vote, I'm inclined to go no. My reason is on the face of it, that sounds good to be as a staker, that you may get some extra rewards. But there's a couple of things. I think James last week made a very good point about it's pretty disingenuous to label it as a tax because the money stays in the ecosystem. I mean, when that money gets paid out to SPOs, we don't know where that goes, where that ADA goes. That's fair enough. That's their reward for keeping propping up the ecosystem. But the ADA from the TAO stays in the Treasury, which we, as a part of Cardano, get to choose where it goes. And that's kind of what a lot of this governance is going to be about. So to call it a tax, I think is a bit wrong. And then the other thing I look at is the proponents of this proposal in the first place seem to be mostly multi-pool operators. I'm going to be careful with my words now. I don't want to offend anyone, but multi-pool operators, well, I'm not as keen on the concept of it. So yeah, as much as on the face of it, it would seem good for me as a staker to vote yes. I think it's all a bit disingenuous, so I say no.
Yeah. Okay. Nelson, I know that you had something, and we'll extend just a little bit, but I definitely want to come up and then we can make a motion or sort of propose and just say, hey, a yes or a no, and we can do it that way. I feel like that might be okay at this point, but I'll hear from Nelson.
Yeah, without talking about my opinion, I think this vote is not going through, right? Because we're not meeting the constitutional threshold for the constitutional committee. So I'm not sure if we are spending good time here or not, because we need 67% threshold for the vote to go through, and 3 of them voted no, and 1 of them voted abstain. So I don't think this is going through.
Yeah. Yes. Simon. And thanks, Nelson. That is a good point.
Yeah, I wanted to just make one more comment about the disingenuous thing, because I totally agree with that. When I read that, I thought this was not framed well. And I think this goes also, more importantly, I think this goes towards the culture that we want to have. Do we want to have like a political class that frames things like that? Or do we want to have like a genuine fact-based discussion, right? And with the terms that are actually accurate and that we should use here. And tax is not the name or the framing and the wording that comes to mind when I think about this.
Yeah, I think that's I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm glad that this is something, because when I read this, I'm like, wait a minute, this is campaign speeches. And we need to really we need to have better, and is that my question was, is that something that we can do as a community to sort of call it out and then reframe it to where we can really get a sense of what exactly it is. James, I see your hands up.
And to that point, like, and picking up from Nelson's question, is this worth the time? This may be an early example of a proposal that we are best ignoring, right?
Yeah.
Like voting no is to take it seriously in a certain way. Not voting at all is a way of pragmatically recognizing that the threshold is not being met anyway. And
Yeah.
it's a way of publicly declaring that this is a silly proposal framed in a particular terms that really don't apply. And so, yeah, I think it's good to have an active goal of being sure to vote on everything while also recognizing that maybe not voting will sometimes be an action in itself.
Ooh, yes. So we've got options: yes, no, abstain, and ignore.
Ignore.
Uh,
Ignore seems to
yeah,
be coming to the surface as a possibility right here.
right, right. I
I thought
in the Go ahead.
just what
What happens if everyone ignores it, but like a few people? Is there a threshold that needs to be met?
Well, you can see right
Yeah,
here the constitutionality threshold already won't be met.
yeah,
Whether we
because of
agree
this.
with that or not, this is a system that works in a certain way. And the way the system has already resolved this question is that 3 of 7 on the Constitutional Committee have already registered a motion that this is unconstitutional, right? And so, therefore, just as pragmatic, rational actors in this ecosystem, how much time do we want to give to this otherwise ridiculous proposal? And we
All
can,
right, all right.
right? And we can go, we can make a public statement. We can post this video wherever we want to, right? So that's an option, right? And so it's not always going to be passive to not vote. It's possible to not vote and say, look, we gave this the time it's worth. It's really not worth the time right now. I agree with Simon that there is a point in the future where a yes vote might make a ton of sense. But right now it's a distraction that pulls in a political discourse that only exists in some but not all countries. And some people who live in one of those countries brought their problems to the table and framed it this way, right? Like how much
Okay.
time do we want to give those guys? How much do we want to facilitate that kind of discourse? And I'm glad people already named that here, right? We can choose as a norm not to engage in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but I was
And
asking more from a DRep perspective. Is there
Well,
a threshold for
you
DReps?
can see that current result as well. And so what's the number of no votes from DReps already? It
Yeah,
was
no, I'm asking, is there a threshold? Like if there's only, I don't know, 5% voting yes and everyone else abstains, is it gonna go
Oh,
through from a
yeah,
DRep
well, yeah,
perspective?
and if you saw that happening, you would spring into action and you would register a vote, but that's not the case right now.
yeah.
Right, right. Okay.
So with that in mind, I think we're ready to, because you're right. And we do have very important business. So and Harsha, what do you think? I think I'm ready to take a round and propose ignore from the Gimbalabs DRep.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Okay, so this will have a let's have like a voting round. Uh, do you have an objection to ignore? And I'll go down the line. Um, I have no objection to ignore. James, and then Adrian.
No objections.
Adrian.
No objections. Let's save the transaction fee.
Beautiful. Andrew, and then Emmanuel.
Yeah, no objections from me.
Emmanuel, then Harsha.
Yeah, I have no objection.
Yeah.
Same, no objection.
Martin, then Mix. Martin just might be listening in.
I agree.
Yeah. Mix and Mo.
Hey guys, yeah, I have no objection, and I guess it would be a good opportunity for them to do better.
Yeah. For those reasons that we mentioned earlier, I definitely think. Okay, Monique and then Nelson.
No objection.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Nelson, then Sebastian.
Yeah, I have no objection.
Nice. Sebastian, then Simon.
No objection.
Simon.
Yeah, no objection.
Look at that. Now we celebrate. Thank you very much for working through that. I feel like that was a process working. I'm tapping the celebrate button. Thank you so much. All right. So, I think that's beautiful because there's other projects to be done here. Let's get into which spaces. And, I'd invite you to sort of move around, shift gears over into this other community proposal. James is the owner and source. This, as you know, is our catalyst funding. We have these. This is an inflow of monies, and it doesn't have our inflow in here.
Well, the Catalyst Fund 13
Oh,
proposal would provide the inflow, and this will actually
is the
be an outflow from it.
Okay. James, do you want to take the helm and guide us through this? I'm sharing the screen so I can point us in the right direction.
Yeah, thanks. And so this proposal is pretty well along. I think we talked about kind of the driver and those details, and people have a chance to look at it. And I'll drop it in the chat right now, just in case people need to read through. Here is the public link. But yeah, so the goal here is to keep public spaces at Gimbalabs going. The sort of spaces, for example, that are gutted when people in power decide to give everybody else a tax break and privatize public services. But we'll leave that aside for now. We are in the business of keeping public spaces open. That's what we do at Gimbalabs. And what we want to do is also be supporting facilitators to get better and better at their craft. And the way we do that is by making sure that we're using some of our budget to fund people for facilitating meetings. And we have the beginnings of a network of people who are practicing this. So, for example, Harsha and Newman have taken on facilitation of this space a few times this year. And when I have the privilege of handing it off to them, I get to be a participant again, which is a role I really enjoy playing. And I get to learn a lot because being a facilitator, you see everything through a different lens. You're on a different, Newman, you can probably relate to this from today. You're on a different kind of alert that prevents you from thinking through all the ideas clearly because you are serving the rest of the community. And that's a really big deal. And so to share this across our growing ecosystem and to make sure we're placing value in it, that's what this proposal does, right? It takes the spaces that have emerged at Gimbalabs that have evolved to their current state, which you can see down below number 7. There's a table that names the spaces that we would keep going over a closed time frame. This proposal is only about the first half of 2025, running spaces through May. And then actually another thing this proposal kind of gives us the option to do is to take some time off after May. I do think that some seasons of not having meetings, but doing maybe deep work or hackathons together is something I would really like to explore, maybe in June. And so that's why I'm not making any proposal about that formally right now. But at least this proposal ends in May so that we can set the stage to have some options for using time differently, maybe during some months or seasons of the year. So what you can see in that table, right? We're going to keep running Aiken live coding on Tuesdays. This proposal requires no funding for that because that's a separately funded project. Cardano All Things Go, we just started. Mix facilitated the third session of that yesterday, and it's really starting to have a flow and a voice. I think that session got really good reviews from people as we were leaving. There's this open spaces session. Speaks for itself. This is what we do. And then following this session, we just added a Gimbalabs Tech stand-up, which kind of toes the line between what later sessions of Plutus PBL live coding have done in the past, right? Giving anybody a chance to show up, bring questions or demos, work on stuff together. And it's a step towards moving us into a season at Gimbalabs where we are building stuff more often. And this is already happening. So the Asteria work is really running on its own, driven by the people working on that project. The Plutus PBL maintainers work has really stood for itself. And as this continues, and later, if we have time, I have a request for proposals for a technical project that I would like to just bring to the group and see if anybody wants to pick it up. But as this continues to happen, and we do have these, in S3, we would call them circles, right? Self-organizing circles. Something like a weekly stand-up where people can get together, show off, and ask each other questions, I think becomes a really engaging thing. And that's why we're trying that experiment. So with this calendar right here down below, you can see an estimate of how many sessions would run open spaces. I'd like to make this retroactive to January. And so this will be funding for January through May, a total of 18 sessions. It says about 18 just because it might be, if we cancel a few more of them for any number of reasons, that would be like the most. All Things Go would max out at 11 sessions. Tech Stand-Up would max out at 11 sessions. So you can see we have about 40 sessions at a proposed rate of 200 ADA for facilitating each one. And that's why this proposal is asking for 8,000 ADA from the Gimbalabs Treasury to facilitate these sessions, plus 1,000 for just Catalyst reporting itself, which is critical. This helps people know what we've been doing and invites other people into the work. 1,000, I think it is good to put this aside just for continued R&D about how we report on these things, right? There's the Catalyst reporting that we have to do, but how about 1,000 ADA for just experimenting with the ways we tell the stories about these spaces to whatever stakeholders? We don't have to decide exactly how to use it, but I think this is really good for anybody who wants to pick up kind of that storytelling piece. And then keeping the calendar up to date, I can continue to take care of that just as part of this. And then when I brought this proposal last week, it did open a really good conversation about marketing. But just to keep things easy to manage from a proposal perspective, I separated those notes into a new doc. So we don't have to make marketing the scope of this proposal just to keep facilitation going. But I think we should flesh out a marketing plan for anybody who's interested in it. So those are the most important updates. I just copied the same table. If you're not familiar with linked or synced blocks in Notion, this is a really helpful way. You can edit in one place and it stays the same in the other. So this is just a copy of the same table that's above, so you can read it again when it comes to responsibilities, right? We just want to have facilitators for all of these sessions. I think it's okay if there aren't names on them yet. Like, so tech stand-up, you can see in April and May. There's nobody assigned to that yet. The reason I'm fine keeping it blank is I'm happy to do it but I won't fill in my name until giving somebody else the chance to take it on. And Newman, Harsha, if you guys become the default for open spaces, but other people have the option of jumping in, how would you feel about that?
I wouldn't mind that necessarily. We definitely are going to do the next week, and the week after that will be the. But yeah, we wouldn't. I don't. Yeah, we'll have to talk it with over with Harsha. But yeah, that could work. And I like that having. We could say this is the default host, um, because one
Yeah.
of the nice things about a giant community is that things happen, and it's good to have people to fill in, and those fill in spots can lead into the more default host. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly how I'm thinking of it. And it echoes to what Scott said about writing the previous proposal. We were talking about the DRep vote. Like somebody has to do that first step, right? But he made it clear he didn't want to be seen as wanting to express a strong opinion. He was trying to get a conversation started. And in a similar way, a default host is there as a service, not because they're trying to grab a role and keep it from anybody else, but because it's good to know, like, okay, if nobody else steps up, here's who's going to do this. But we can keep practicing offering the option to other people, and eventually people do step up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that terminology I think is really great.
So
All
those are the
right.
responsibilities. That's why these responsibilities aren't fully fleshed out. But I hope that makes sense to folks that they are fleshed out, but they're left open to keep that door open. And yeah, potential risks. I think it's worth it just to name, right? We're uncertain about the impact of these spaces. And some of it is, some of it you could compare to planting a tree and you're not going to see its fruit for a long time. Obviously, that's a nice story we can tell ourselves if we're not sure about our early impact. But we maybe want to start looking for ways to decide whether these spaces are delivering value. And that's a really hard thing to do. And so that's why it's good just to list some risks and mitigations, just to say, look, we have questions. We don't know the long-term import of this. But at least by reminding each other of that, we can stay open and dedicated to like asking those questions. So yeah, I think this is pretty complete. And yeah, I can pass it off to Newman to facilitate the process.
Yeah, so now the first thing, and if you recall our process, the first round that we do is and we can popcorn style this, is like, do you have questions that clarify, not an opinion whether this should be funded or not necessarily at this stage, but just there's something that we call it clarifying questions. And it's if you have an informational request of James, the owner, or the community at large. Harsha, does that match where we're at in the process
Yep.
now?
Sounds good. Yes, yes.
Okay. So, and we'll do this popcorn style. So if you have a clarifying question, just you can just jump off mute and speak, or put it in the chat. Harsha will mind the chat. Okay. So people feel we've done this process once before. So we did this for the Fund 12 um uh, uh Project Catalyst uh sustain and maintain Gimbalabs proposal. So it should be pretty familiar. Everybody's being quiet. I'm feeling like it's pretty established. I have a question, and that is prerequisites. So is this a prerequisite for the facilitator, James?
Yes, I forgot that I even added that here. So yeah, the idea here is we're moving all of these projects one by one into Andamio. And so we could play with this concept like what would somebody have had to do first before they could join as a facilitator for one of these spaces, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we have to fully answer that question now. It'll be an exciting moment if somebody we've never met before shows up and says, "Hey, can I facilitate next week?"
Yeah.
I think we can save that question for when it happens, right? For now, anybody who's expressed interest in facilitation is at least known to others because they've showed up for a certain number of meetings so far. And so I
Yeah.
think we can leave it like that. And then on the technical side, we've talked about this in the dev space the last few weeks, and this will be a continued thing where we talk about like what are the prereqs to joining any project that's approved here. But I don't think it has to be the scope of this proposal.
Right, right. Yeah, for instance, you wouldn't want somebody that doesn't have tech and development experience, hosting the tech stand up, meaning that the real value in that is having an experienced person there to sort of guide. I always like to think of them as computer lab attendants. Like those guys knew so much stuff, and if you just be friends with them, order a pizza, you're in. You're in. Uh, one of the things about this facilitation that we're doing is the Facilitators Collective actually has a course, and it's something that I've completed. Okay. Any other questions? I can show the, oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's up at the top. There is a budget workshop. And so one of the things about when you read these, you can really go down and ask, like, go to the requirements and what it's asking. And the budget is a big one. So in that vein, I created this spreadsheet, and it is here. And is the total budget, well, anyway, this, we can, but so we're offloading the marketing,
Right.
and so this gets down to zero. And so this is a $10,000, a 10,000 ADA request.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I feel okay, Babon.
Yeah.
Yeah, with respect to the prereqs, I think we can lower the barrier, asking for taking the specific model the new facilitator want to facilitate, right? Because it's really complicated to push the people to take the whole AKMPV to gain that spot facilitating things. We can, okay, maybe you want to, I don't know you, but the thing is, I don't know you, but you can participate. So at least take the module that you want to facilitate, and let's see from that, right?
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Harsha, I think that our next process is, are we to, we've done a
Objections
and objections
consent.
and concerns. Yeah. And
Yeah.
does anyone have concerns or want to frame the discussion here? James is the owner, and I'll go down the line here. Adrian and Andrew, any like a concern? It's like anything that pops up.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Andrew, anything that's popping up to you that you want to verbalize?
No. I think this is a fair proposal, and yeah, shout out to everyone who contributes around here. And it's it's a great place to be around.
Nice. Emmanuel and then Harsha. Concerns and objections.
No, I have no objection to this. Because I was about to ask if this is the first time this is coming up, and I think Newman said it was I think you said it was done in the last yeah, it was done in the last funding round. So yes, so this is the way to go about it. So yes, no objection.
Perfect. Harsha and then Emmanuel. Yeah.
No
I mean,
concerns or
Mark.
objections.
Yeah. Martin and then Nix. Thanks, Harsha.
No objections.
Cool. Mix and then Monique.
Yep, no objection either.
Okay, cool. Monique.
No objections.
Thanks. Nelson and then Sebastian.
No objection.
And Seb.
No objections.
Okay, Simon. So Simon asked that he had stepped away. So this basically is our objection round, and it's where, if you have any strong opinion about whether we adopt this proposal, this is where we'd voice it. It can also be a concern. It's just like, oh well, maybe this part needs to be changed. Yeah,
it's okay. I don't want to waste everyone's time on this.
Wow, no,
No
man, we got
objection
plenty of
from me.
time. All right. I love it. Yeah, I think that we can adopt this proposal. And this proposal is adopted. No objections all around. Hey, celebration time. I definitely want to get a screen something that celebrates here. You know what I mean?
The Tada icon can only take you so far.
It used to be so cool, but now, and we can, wait a minute. This is a little more, so where we go here and we move, this is it, we move it, right? Now this is satisfying. Wait. Don't we, oh no, we can do it here, status. This one. In progress. And it goes down here. Right? This one. Okay. It's in progress. Hooray! Okay. Now, so we're shifting gears again. We're gonna move this one to backlog. This one goes backlog.
Done.
I thought it was
done.
It was
yeah, we go to
approved,
done.
right?
Oh,
Yeah, we go to done. Yeah, we go to done. Okay. Hooray! All right. That's our celebrate thing. Can we drag it? Can we go like this?
You can.
Okay. I don't want to try it live on TV.
I think the destination has to be open, but yeah, it should work.
Okay, cool. Now this one, draft of the Gimbalabs Marketing Plan. Now this one,
I don't think there's been progress on this one since last week. I didn't have time to fork it until today.
Okay.
But yeah, we can. Seb, do you want to pick up the marketing one now, or should we save that one in the planning or backlog?
Yeah, I think this guy Shaggy wants to be involved in the proposal, but I don't know.
We can ping him with a link to this.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he in the? Oh,
Not yet.
he's not in. Okay. But just taking a brief look at this one, this one is the Gimbalabs Marketing Plan. And remember, we took out some budget from the which spaces into the marketing, which I think makes a lot of sense. So there is a lot that goes into marketing. And I know Simon, you have his hand up. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about working on this for Gimbalabs with a friend of mine. Yeah, but I'm not best friends with Shaggy, so I'm not sure if that is a good option anymore, to be honest.
You don't necessarily only have to work with best friends. You can work with everyone.
Yeah, example. I was gonna tell Harsha a bad joke. I always joke around with Harsha, but do you have is there? You guys are, yeah.
Yeah,
there's still things to do.
I think yes, I tried not to get involved with him. I think yeah, I've been working with him on the marketing working group in Intersect, and it only hurt me,
However,
and
however,
I don't want to be involved with him anymore.
yeah. However,
That's all I'm gonna say.
In this case, I think we can. You can prepare a proposal in the same way, in the same area, right? In the same with the same topic, and as community, you can decide, okay, this proposal has more sense it's more aligned with the primary driver of Gimbalabs or Shaggy's proposal or something like that. This is a good. I think this is a good situation because we have several people interested on participating in the marketing side, but with a different approach, right? That's valid. So I invite you to take the present a proposal.
Right. So if I
marketing.
were to do that, I would need some information about the goals and the general strategy of Gimbalabs. Where can I find that?
I can help you. I can help you. Harsha, I don't know, you can also. I can make some notes, right? We can open a document, a public document in Notion, and start adding some points there for everybody that wants to build a proposal around marketing.
All right.
Independent.
Okay. So I get in contact with you, Sebastian, and you can refer me to the necessary information.
Yeah, I will open
Does that sound like a plan?
document. I will open the document, and I ping you when this is ready. And also, I will ping to Shaggy to when the document is ready, right? And
Sure.
every one of you can offer do their thing. I don't know if any of you guys have girls have some objection in the approach. I think it's the most fair for everybody.
Yeah. And now, so this is drafting like a marketing plan, which I know that Simon has like a good amount of experience on based on his work with Intersect and some other things. But it also is fulfilling the responsibility for things that we've got written down here, bringing people to the session, that there's life and action on the social networks, that we have a consistent open and live Gimbalabs spaces, establishing workflows like a set of tasks and times to do things as far as our promotion, announcements in webhooks, like calendaring. We talked about sort of the automated tools, Twitter spaces, just representing Gimbalabs in the market, reporting and tracking metrics. So what I see is that there's actually a big ecosystem, a department. So and it's in a decentralized way, meaning that if you were to, there may be something that you can do, even you don't have to work really so closely with others. For instance, this media kit maintenance, that feels like it's a periodic thing, as opposed to like a operational weekly maintenance of making announcements, which is basically what Sebastian does now. But yeah. I definitely think there's a place for there are opportunities here. So Sebastian or Simon, is your hand still up or? Yeah. What are the next actions here? It feels like we need more work to make it more defined. Is that
In fact,
something?
we don't have to open a new document. You can use this to add some notes at the end of the doc.
Okay.
And
yeah. So we'll keep this one in consent. And could we, in the 10 to 15 minutes we've got left, which of these would be good to attack next?
I'd like to share something about the Gimbalabs Incubator. That's a proposal that I want to present today.
Excellent.
That is a
Uh,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this proposal is aligned with what we are discussing just a few moments about the funding sources of Gimbalabs. This is a thing, an idea that I have had, and I'm sure that I was not the only one trying to identify some another funding sources for Gimbalabs, right? And this proposal is based on conversations that I had the opportunity to have with ex-students and ex-dev students in that took some classes and lessons in the spaces, in the Gimbalabs spaces, and their level of satisfaction takes them to think that seriously on make some donations to Gimbalabs in exchange of the activities, educational activities we make here. So, and today we are in this ecosystem where the incubation and acceleration is taking a really good first stage. And this is, I think this falls into the expertise of Gimbalabs as community organization. So the thing is, building an incubator and an accelerator is a really big exercise. It's a complex exercise that. And in that sense, we can start for step by step, identifying urgent necessities in the ecosystem, in the developer ecosystem, and start to support in some way those kind of necessities. One of the most clear needs in the needs is the front-end development. The projects and startups in the ecosystem needs urgently some kind of support in the front-end side, right? And they have the budget. They have the budget to support to fund those kind of some kind of assistance and support in that way, right? But we have zero depth force in that layer of the developer stack. So my idea with this proposal is to start building this idea of making Gimbalabs an incubator and an accelerator. Based on and the first step is to build a collective. I call that in this proposal collective of front-end developers, not expert developers, just Gimbalabs members that have some kind of experience, some kind of domain in the area of front-end development, sufficient to support Cardano projects, right? And we know Cardano projects are really not too complex projects in some way. They are complex in the backend, but in the front end they are as usual as the Web2 projects. So my proposal is first start taking steps into build that kind of circle that would be a new circle, a basic circle, a basic cell of developers, front developers, Gimbalabs members that can provide some kind of support on that, right? I was thinking, for example, on Harsha. Harsha has experience in UX development. I was thinking on Newman that has some kind of, I don't know, I can have a rudimentary knowledge about you guys, about your experience, but I think you have some kind of expertise on what is around front-end development, around UX experience and all that stuff. And I think we can use that. And on only talking about just both of you guys, but this is an invitation to everybody that has some kind of expertise in front-end development, basic, no matter the level. Yeah, an invitation. So that's the first. Start building the circle, the front end circle with this approach of supporting front end, supporting Cardano projects in the area of incubation, right? Of incubation, of supporting projects. In the details of the proposal, I invite you to read the proposal. In these details, you can see first is the calling of the members interested in be part of the circle. The second is run these first sessions that allow to start clarifying procedures and driver mapping in general terms. And the thing, we have a Rabbit test Rabbit. I'm saying that really well. I proposed Andamio because Andamio first is I gave there the reasons why Andamio is a good prospect to serve to this first exercise as a project test that can resist all our experiments around front-end development support. Among those merits that I think are valuable, first is a company funded by many of the instructors and teachers that voluntarily have provide services to Gimbalabs for years. And I think it's that makes them apt to receive some kind of support. And currently, Andamio is supporting Gimbalabs in providing the courses, the several courses that we are today delivering to the students and the Cardano ecosystem in general in our open spaces. I have to say, this whole proposal is aligned with the primary driver of Gimbalabs, because the primary driver talks about building spaces, building new spaces, right? And we have today we have internal and really well known spaces, but internally at kind of in our well-known radar. But I think we must to start testing the boundaries of these limits of our usual radar and start to think on expanding our area of action in terms of spaces. I think we can go and start to building spaces outside of our traditional field, right? And start to building a kind of pipeline between our internal and well-known spaces and these spaces that are focused on incubating and supporting projects. We can build there a kind of pipeline that can communicate both intentions, right? Imagine, for example, a proposer or a entrepreneur, a Cardano entrepreneur, or an Ergo entrepreneur, or a Solana entrepreneur, etc., that wants to start building on Cardano, right? He can come here to Gimbalabs and start taking our sessions, and then they can go to our circles in charge of supporting projects in specific areas, in this case, front end. But with time, depending on how this experiment goes, we can start supporting projects in other areas, in backend areas, specific, more technically intense areas. So in these organizations, the key for me. Yeah, that's right. I think we have okay. That's the general idea. If we go to the scroll down, the impact talks about that we can start we can kick starting our efforts through a Gimbalabs incubator, right? And as a Gimbalabs incubator, we can have access not only to the Catalyst funds, but also to Intersect funds, but also to donations from the developers, direct donations to Gimbalabs from the developers that receive our support. We can charge to those projects if they have received, for example, a Catalyst proposal or they have a catalyst proposal or an intersect proposal in course. We can there in that scenario we have several ways of getting funds and getting income. And from years, we have had in Gimbalabs this idea of Gimbalabs solutions, where we provide the project services in different areas, right? This front-end collective can be the first of the whole array of services we can provide to the people. Yes, Yaman.
So I read through the through the proposal, and I'm curious as to what is the connection between Andamio and I think they're providing 10,000 ADA, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, we have a proposal, as you know, in the section resources. I'm asking
Right.
10,000 ADAs for funding funding 2 devs for 2 months. The rationale.
Okay, so this is a proposal that goes to Andamio, right?
No, this is a proposal that goes to Gimbalabs. I'm asking for
From Andamio.
funding from Gimbalabs. No, from Gimbalabs to fund these 2 devs, and these 2 devs will start to work with the Andamio team. What is the rationale behind that?
I see.
The rationale is Gimbalabs Andamio is as many other projects in the ecosystem has some specific needs in the front end side. Andamio and Gimbalabs has a kind of relationship, and they can provide in the short and in the medium term some kind of mutual services. If Gimbalabs has success in providing the services to the companies that they have to support, they have to provide, all that benefit will go to the collective recognition.
Right. And so what is the how does it combine with the sorry, is it an accelerator? With the overall idea of building the capacity of front-end developers in the ecosystem.
Yes, the main goal of this proposal is to build our own capacity of provide services to other projects. Gimbalabs, in this case, Andamio is one of the projects that we have at hand in this moment, and I have to say, I'm part of Andamio, and many others here are part of Andamio, right? So we are available to coordinate the activities necessary to provide the expertise to the developers, all the space that they need to the Gimbalabs devs will need to experiment in these clients or this incubation relationship.
Right. So is the idea that the 2 developers would help with the incubator? Or like I'm just trying to connect the resources that are going in there with the overall goal, right? Like how does it connect to the incubator?
Yeah. Question in the chat. Okay. If you want, you can put the clarifying questions in the document, and I can start to answer those questions. But in a nutshell, these funded developers from Gimbalabs that will work with Andamio will attend. Andamio will be the first client of Gimbalabs in this incubation work. From that, we will gather data about what's happening, how will go the process, how the process work, and start to take some decisions about it. My invitation is to just read the proposal, the entire proposal, and just please put there the objections and questions you could have.
Yes, and thank you. Yeah, that's great, Sebastian. And I will put in a little section for clarifying questions, and then let's quickly do a round of this is sort of a response, like it's not for objections or but it's like clarifying questions or just your feeling. We can make it short. I do want to give us a few minutes to sign out or to check out. Um, let's start up at the top of my list, James, and then we'll skip over Sebastian and do Andrew.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this proposal evolves, and it reminds me of other things we've done in the past, right? Trying a new pattern to see what products it might emerge. So, yeah, I'm excited. Thanks, Seb, for writing it.
Well done. Andrew and then Adrian.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting proposal, actually. Yeah, sorry, I've not really got much else to say on it. I'm interested. Yeah, I like the sound of it. Yeah, it all sounds positive, so we'll see how it goes.
And Adrian and then Emmanuel.
Sounds like a really interesting proposal. Thanks, Seb.
And Emmanuel, then Harsha.
Yeah, it's a very great proposal. Yeah, yeah. It's we know how on Cardano development, there's been a lot of back-end works going on, and I think this is a very interesting proposal. And obviously, I've been so much interested, but I tried front end, but I think I'm failing in front end really, really bad. So yes, yes, it's a very nice proposal. So, yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Emmanuel.
Thanks, Simon. I just want to say my intention in this session was just share the proposal. I was not aspiring to okay get the approval today, but the first step is to share my intentions here, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But I'm loving these coming up with these questions. Harsha and then Martin.
So I actually was speaking to Newman about this. Like my initial thoughts are that the way we think about front end in the age of AI is going to be different. I think theory becomes extremely important. So I think if we focus on theory, the rest of it can be automated. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Harsha. That's a great point. Martin and then Mix.
Yeah, do stuff. Great. Do stuff.
Love it. And Mix and then Nelson.
Yeah, I do agree with this proposal. Actually, the idea of being incubator or supporting developers or even creating a marketplace for developers or being kind of job shadowing something. Like we talk throughout several years of running Gimbalabs about all these ideas. So yeah, let's try. Maybe this is the year that Gimbalabs will use its community so that the community will get benefits in different ways that we were doing in past. So sure, I completely support this proposal and such proposal. And also, I can see that we have other needs in the ecosystem. So sure, it's a front end, but a smart contract developer, back end, or even system design. So there are peoples out there that they have some ideas, but they cannot conceptualize that because they don't have the enough technical ideas or technical capability to just think that idea into this blockchain space or even Cardano. I mean, they have something in Ethereum they don't have. And actually, I've seen many Catalyst proposal that they are lacking these people and they seek these people. So yeah, I think this would be a great start for doing that. Hopefully, uh, we will see great like great proposal as offspring of this proposal.
Perfect. Thank you, Mix and Simon. We just have 1 minute left. I do know that we kind of have a weird hard stop because we go to the next tech stand up, but I do want to close this one out. So Simon, maybe you want to mention your question real quick, and then we'll close it out. Or we can, yeah.
I'm just still a bit unclear about how two developers working on the Andamio website will help build a front-end incubator. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sebastian, let's let's answer that question on the Notion, and this will be like a little teaser to come back to this proposal and see how it's answered in the future, because we are at time.
Yeah, right. And I just want to say I agree with, like, we do need front-end developers. I also see it in our team. And I think, like, when I was at the convention, I heard from, I think, 2 other teams actually they would need front-end developers. So it is great to hear that you guys are doing something about that.
For sure. Cool. Harsh, thanks, Sebastian. Harsha, any last words? Have we forgotten anything, or are we ready to shut down?
No, I thought today was like the most efficient open spaces we've went through, like, so much. So that was great. Yeah.
It's all you, man. It's all you. You have no idea. Y'all have no idea how much. Harsha is like the duck. He's the duck feet under the duck. I'm the duck. I'm the top of the duck. Harsha is the bottom of the duck. Maybe. I don't know.
There's just too many things that rhyme with duck.
All right, y'all. I am gonna hang up my hat and we'll start in on the tech stand-up. We don't go to a different one. I think we take a little break generally. You guys have been at it for a while now, and then we'll start up with the next
right
one.
here. Should we take a 4, 9, or 14-minute break? Anybody feel a strong way?
Like, the only even number is 4, so I'll pick 4.
4-minute break. Oh my God. Oh, and a 9-minute break. Let's start at 12:10.
10 after? All right,
10 after.
Yeah, we'll pick it up at 10 after this hour. So 9 minutes from now, we'll get going. I'm going to stop this recording. And yeah, see you soon, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.